it affects the uterus and tubes and the ovaries, they eventually get infertile. Most of them, actually 50% of them, cannot conceive. And that's a big thing. And infertility is largely caused by endometriosis in young women.
At least 50% of women suffer from infections. But did you know that some of these infections can actually lead to endometriosis? You might be wondering what endometriosis is. We have been joined by Dr. Spire Chigundu, fertility expert from Henrob Hospital, to take us through what endometriosis is. And we are going to talk about an interesting topic called endometriosis. A lot is happening amongst women in terms of infertility, in terms of hardship to give birth. But today, I think we have many solutions for that, Doctor. To our viewers of NSTV.
Dr. Chigundu Spire is my name, and I work as a fertility specialist and endometriosis specialist at Henrob Hospital here at Zana. Endometriosis is a chronic condition. Chronic means it takes time. It's a very debilitating disease to women of reproductive age. And these are women who, in the age of their fertility, generally between the age of 18 up to the age of around 34 or even 40. And these women experience painful periods. Okay, so endometriosis means that the lining of the uterus migrates and finds its way outside the uterus. And when it attaches to any of the surrounding structures, then it causes problems. It can't go anywhere. It can't go anywhere, so as long as the woman is of reproductive age. Unfortunately, the disease follows menstruation. So every time a woman menstruates, every month, the layer keeps growing and disseminating to other places. So, and that's why we call it progressive in a way that, so as long as you can menstruate every month, then you are likely to have, first of all, endometriosis, but secondly, if you have it, then the progression is almost monthly. So briefly, that is endometriosis to you. It basically means the lining of the uterus, called endometrium, spreading away from where it's supposed to be, and then finds its way in a wrong position. And this lining has cells that are naturally very aggressive. So the moment they lose track of where they're supposed to be, they start growing, and they grow like a cancer. I'm not saying endometriosis is a cancer, but the cells behave like the way cancer would. But once they settle in any other place other than the uterus, they will grow. So if the lining grows within the muscle of the uterus, we call that adenomyosis. The cells find themselves in the walls of the uterus, and when these women menstruate over time, the uterus becomes bigger and less flexible, and then that kind of uterus will hurt more or pain more. So we call that adenomyosis. It is a form of this big spectrum of disease we're talking about. But if it finds its way away from the uterus, then we call it endometriosis. Endometriosis is now beyond the boundaries of the uterus. Adenomyosis is within the muscle of the uterus. So in brief, that is what endometriosis is. And it affects a number of women. In our population, for example, every 1 in 10 women will have endometriosis. If you're counting, for every 10 women, 1 woman will have endometriosis, and that could be underestimated. We believe that because we don't count that much, it could even be higher. It could be even up to around 15% of young women having endometriosis. So the statistics are very high, and globally it is the same. Women all over the world are grappling with this disastrous disease called endometriosis.
So doctor, in this issue of menstruation, because most women, while going into their periods, they experience that pain. And for the local knowledge, the way our people understand, women, we think, because I'm also a woman, we think it's normal to have that kind of pain during periods. And you see, we even go ahead to find ways of reducing the pain. Does that mean the pain that women go through is not normal?
Yes, the pain women go through can sometimes be categorized in two ways. It could be normal bearable pains, or what we call cramps.
Okay.
So if a woman has cramps that are bearable, then we might not really categorize it as endometriosis. But the moment the pain becomes unbearable to an extent that the woman has to take strong painkillers,
Okay.
the moment the pain becomes serious to an extent that the woman cannot carry out activities of daily living, like going to work, sleeping peacefully, missing school and the usual activities, then we say this is not usual. So severe menstrual pain is what we're talking about, and it should never be normalized. So for us, we say that menstrual pain that is severe enough to affect the quality of life of a woman should never be normalized.
Yes. Still with that information, you know, some family planning methods, like IUD and some others, stop menstrual pains, not necessarily menstrual pains, but menstrual yes, from coming. So how is that related to the pains? Because you're supposed to have periods every month, and if the blood is not coming out, if you're not going into menstrual periods, how does that affect? Does that also result into endometriosis, kind of?
No, actually that is protective. That is protective, and we use it as a means of treatment for these young girls who grapple with menstrual pain. You see, endometriosis usually starts as pains. Usually what happens is these young women have a uterus that contracts more severe than usual, than the ordinary population. The reason that happens, we do not know very well. It could be genetic, it could be inborn, born with. You might find that maybe a mom or a immediate relative had that kind of thing. So the uterus contracts more than usual, but with time, as time goes on, the more the uterus contracts, the more this blood and the cells are spilled elsewhere. That's how endometriosis starts. It is the excess contraction of the uterus in some ladies that is unexplained, right from the time they start their period, or that menarche, the first period of the girl. So when you see a young lady having strong pains early on, they have risks of getting endometriosis. So these are the girls that we're talking about, and this is where our concern is. How do we catch them early? So when we see them, we counsel them that we need to put a hold on your menses to protect your uterus. So sometimes we have to use some of those family planning methods you're talking about. But this time around, we're not using them as family planning methods. We're using them as treatment because they are hormones. So we use those hormones in those methods, like a pill is the common one. We give them a pill to stop their period for some time, so that we give them a break and avoid this cyclic shedding and spread of the cells. So for us, we use them as treatment. They are not a cause of endometriosis anyway, and they are very helpful.